we want to dedicate the next 20 minutes to exploring technological advances in the field of acoustic modeling. That's really when you can capture, model, and reproduce any space around the world. And it could be a famous venue, it could be a cathedral, a temple, where music is often performed. Now, Stanford has been a long-time collaboration partner with the New World Symphony, and in my previous life as head of technology at New World, I had the immense pleasure to work with lots of brilliant musicians, scientists, and engineers, combining all disciplines very often into the same project. So we thought for this summit it would be great that we checked with Chris at the Center for Computer Research in Music and Acoustics to see what cool technologies they're working on over there. By the way, the experiment today also showcases a very cool aspect, which is having two musicians, one here in Miami, another one at Stanford, performing together, separated by over 3,000 miles, and having their voices processed at Stanford, sent back here to the hall in crystal clear 5.1 surround sound. And because we're using specialized technology, we can compress, we can minimize all of that processing and back and forth to about 120 milliseconds. What does that mean? I mean, for a musician, it really means that they feel as if they were in a large hall separated by about 120 feet, where sound travel delays start to become more noticeable. All right? So try doing that with Skype, and you're going to be quickly disappointed. That said, we do have a Skype connection to Stanford here, but this is only to have a quick visual reference, but the audio is actually traveling through very different channels through that optimized path. So, time to introduce Chris. Chris, how you doing?
Doing well, thank you. And it's spring break here at Stanford. That means all of our students are probably in Miami. It'll be my job to, sort of reach across to you folks sort of vicariously, I guess. Wish I was there too. I'll revise your number a little bit, JP. We're hitting about 40 milliseconds one way across the country right now. So
wow.
This is a tight connection.
Awesome.
I'll just, by way of introduction, say, CCRMA, the center here, is very pleased to take part in your festival. And for myself, this is kind of a neat experiment where I'm combining two things that have been sort of passions. One is as JP explained, this sort of teleportation through low latency, high quality audio, and doing concerts with other countries and other cities, and something that's getting more and more approachable, sophisticated. The second is this idea of modeling acoustical spaces, and both of these, as a musician, both of these are sort of a form of teleportation. So one teleportation is just putting your musical self in another space, sometimes Kansas City, sometimes Paris, but playing together in real time with other musicians. And you mentally travel that space. You meet somewhere in the middle that's not really a physical space. This second thing about putting your ears in another acoustic is a completely different form of teleportation acoustically. When you put a microphone on Mars, you get a sense of Mars through its wind. So today we're actually combining both of these modes, and I'm going to let someone who has been absolutely instrumental in making this second form of the acoustical modeling work. This is Jonathan Abel, and he'll explain a little bit about the technology. And before I break off, I'm going to mention that none of this is possible without a whole lot of heavy lifting by experts in surround sound, ambisonics. This is Fernando Lopez-Lascano at our group here. Justin Trigger behind the scenes at New World Symphony for huge help over the years doing network experiments like this. So I will introduce Jonathan Abel. He'll lead you through a couple slides.
Great.
Thank you, Chris. And so we have a couple slides, and the idea is to give you a peek under the hood of what we're doing to take these two singers and transport them. We're going to be transported to a couple different places. Right now, on our end, we're in the listening room in the Center for Computer Research in Music and Acoustics at Stanford, and we're going to be taking you from the listening room and from New World into Memorial Church at Stanford University, and then after that to the Hagia Sophia in Istanbul. And just to give you an illustration of the kind of thing that you can do acoustically. We have here this first slide. We have the listening room in the upper left-hand corner. We have the memorial church in the lower right-hand corner. And we're going to play a little snippet of a Byzantine chant. If you could cue the video, please.
We're getting the clicker.
Very.
There we go.
All right, could you tell at what point the transition happened from the listening room to Memorial Church? See, it turns out when you listen, you're hearing not only the source of the sound, but you're hearing the acoustics brought back to you by the space you're occupying. If I could have the next slide. So to explore this further, what we're going to do is take apart a particularly simple sound. We've recorded a balloon pop in Memorial Church. And balloon pops are loud, and especially if you're in a church that is pretty decent volume, lots of marble, lots of stained glass. Let's take a listen. If you could play the first sound. Memorial Church has about a 4.5 second long reverb time. So that balloon pop it's kind of big. And here's the thing. Let's go take a listen to just the balloon pop itself, and then let's listen to how the space responds. So if you could cue the next sound. That was the balloon pop. Not nearly as impressive as what the space can do. If you could cue the next sound. That was the space responding to the balloon pop. All right? So you see what happens is when you're listening, the space will convey to you all kinds of information about the size of the space, the materials that comprise it. A wealth of information is coming to you and letting you understand what to do, especially as a singer, as a performer. There's a lot of architectural information in the signal that you're hearing. In fact, if you slow down the signal, if you slow down the recording of the balloon pop, you can hear the waves moving back and forth like water in a bathtub. If you could cue the last sound on the slide. I like listening to reverb. If you could go to the next slide. So here's the idea. If a space responds to this really short duration pulse in this huge way, you can take that knowledge and you can apply it to a singing voice. So what we're going to do in this next bit of performance is take singing voices live, and we're going to imprint on them various different acoustics. To give you an idea of how we do that, what we do is we take the voice and we break it down into just a bunch of little pulses. We take each little bit of voice is going to trail behind it an entire balloon pop's worth of Memorial Church acoustics or Hagia Sophia acoustics. This is illustrated in this next little video where we have the same singer performing a little bit of a Byzantine chant, and what you're going to see on the right-hand side of the screen is the singer's voice coming in. You can see the different pitches he's singing, and then after that it's going to be transformed, and what you're going to hear is him singing in Memorial Church, and you'll see how the church smears out every note that he sings. Every little bit of sound is going to be smeared over this 4.5 second long response time. If you could cue the video.
Amen. Amen.
All right. Well, with that, I'm going to introduce Nettie Worthy, who will be performing on the Stanford side of things.
Great. And thank you, Jonathan. And at this, here on this side, please welcome Graham Foundry. He was born in Chicago, raised here in Miami, educated at Juilliard, and performs worldwide with leading organizations such as Seraphic Fire. I think we're ready to start, and I think just as a preface to that, we're going to hear 3 demonstrations. The first one is going to give you a point of reference. So the 2 singers are going to be performing without any processing, just to kind of listen to their natural voices reverberate in this hall with natural acoustics. The second demonstration is we're going to activate the model Stanford built for the Stanford Memorial Church. And on the third demonstration, we're going to show you the Hagia Sophia model. Okay? So.
Super flumina Babylonis illix sedimus et fluvimus, cum recordaremur tui Sion, in salicibus in medio suspendimus organa nostra.
Great. So, thank you. So this was the what we call the dry, if you will, run of the demonstration, where it's not dry actually. We're actually experiencing natural acoustics, the subtle acoustics in this hall, very finely tuned. So, Nettie, what did it feel for you? I mean, on your end, you're obviously in a different space here, but you're hearing Graham sing. So, what are you feeling on your end?
It feels very dry. It's a little hard to communicate because I can't see Graham. But the experience is interesting, and I feel like we're actually able to sing a duet over this time and space.
Great. Graham, what is your thought? You're in a different place, different acoustics. What is your impression here on this first demo?
So of course I'm dealing with this space sound, and I'm hearing what she's doing, especially through a speaker here. So what I'm trying to do is adjust myself to the tempo that she's able to take based on what I'm doing. So we're really playing a game with each other, deciphering how we're both singing. And that's the one key to doing this, practicing enough to where she can be singing in a tempo that actually is going to be slightly ahead of what I'm doing. And that's the trick.
Great. All right, so I think we're going to move to the second demonstration. This is with the Stanford Memorial Church, and we have some visuals to show for this one. So.
Ave Maria. Ave Maria, gratia plena,
Beautiful. All right, so let's hear what you guys feel now after this particular demonstration. Nettie, on your end?
It's a more familiar acoustic. I've sung in that church before, so in terms of accessing the space and responding to what I hear Graham doing, it's a little easier. Again, though, just to echo what Graham was saying, the more you work with this kind of technology and with the latency across the network, I think the easier the communication becomes.
Right.
Excellent. So you recognize this model acoustics?
Yeah, I do.
Okay, excellent. Graham?
Yeah, well, also something I just thought of. This also demands great listening skills of the performer, because now we actually have to really pay attention to what the person that's singing with you is doing versus following what a conductor is doing. It's fascinating and excellent to be able to do that with another performer in that type of space that I'm not in.
Awesome. All right, so we're going to move on to the third and final demonstration. This is moving on to the model built at the Hagia Sophia in Istanbul.
Super flumina Babylonis ilixiemus et fluvimus, cum regadaremur tuis Sion, in salicibus in That was good. Yeah.
All right, wow.
Yeah.
Sounded pretty cool.
That locked in.
So, Nettie, on your end, how did that feel?
It's really confusing in the Hagia Sophia. But once you play with it a little bit, it's really rewarding, I think.
So do you see a certain kind of, choir music working better in that space than other? What is your thought on that?
Absolutely. And it's something that's a little more still in terms of the harmonics, a little slower tempo works a lot better. When we first tried this, we tried a little Dowland piece, and there was just too much contrapuntal motion, and the harmonics, when they were spilling over into that 11-second reverb, just did not sound right, and we found it very difficult to actually perform together. But when we started working with this Super Flumina, it's a little bit more tuned to a space with a longer reverb, and I think we were able to really lock it in and tune to each other and work together with the tempos and everything.
Excellent. Graham.
Yeah. This technology allows us to get into a space and experience it as the composer meant it to be heard. So if Mozart's Requiem was done in a certain church or a hall, we can take that and do it here, and then be informed on how that Mozart wanted it to sound. And this is a perfect example. We have the Hagia Sophia, and we're doing the chant. And the chant, of course, we're able to tune to all the overtones very well. And it becomes, only two people are singing, but it becomes a mass choir, as you heard, with all the reverb included in there. The implications are grandiose.
Great, thank you. Another great big round of applause for Nettie and Graham here.
Thank you. Good job. Thanks.
Awesome. Chris, perhaps you want to share some final thoughts on where you'd like this technology to go in the future, what's in your mind, and what other really cool places around the world you'd like to model.
Boy, as far as cool places to model, our next stop is actually an ancient temple in Peru. It's a little bit of a musical Raiders of the Lost Ark, but look forward to a composition by John Chowning placing French horns and conch shells in the labyrinths of a 3,000-year-old temple way high in the Andes. It's going to be fabulous, and we're doing the modeling now, Jonathan Abel and his team. As far as the ability for musicians to connect worldwide like this, if you're a young kid and you're learning an instrument and you're in your bedroom and you want to play, with a drummer in Portland, why can't you do that? That should just be easy, right? I mean, you grew up, in a world where networks and synthetic reality are just commonplace. For us old guys, it's still this kind of leap of faith. I feel like a ham radio operator playing cello. But it's getting easier. Several times now we're doing this exact same thing over commodity networks, and that is hope for the future, I think. Right now, I just explained it. We have Internet 2 connecting us, which is a very high capacity backbone for data transport across the country. It's a research network. Stay tuned to Media Blitz that's going to happen starting next week for Google Fiber, and you'll see a reunion of a band called Patriarch doing exactly what we're doing to come back together. I think you might be kind of interested to see how this can get out into the streets, and that's what we're really interested in doing. I'll say, just on the technical note, the thing that we haven't done today, and the thing that we're going to do next as far as our synthesis, is to use both endpoints of a connection like this as walls inside of a composite reverberation, rather than just having what we're doing today, where we send a sound across and then we reverberate it like that. What we're going to do is have sounds go to walls where the reverberator is the whole country. And we've already prototyped it, and it works. It's a very different kind of space to inhabit. So sort of excited to see what Nettie's going to sound like in there. She's very raring for this. Let me introduce the other members of our team here,
please.
real quick, because I'd like to just say a moment that none of this is possible without amazing help on diffusion. We do 24 channel systems like the one that you're hearing today through Fernando's work, and Dave Kerr, our video guy, who's always behind the camera. So, yeah. Anyway, it's been a pleasure.
All right. Thank you very much.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you so much. That was wonderful. Gentlemen, thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Beautiful.
Thank you, Chris.
Amazing.
Take care. Thank
JP, thanks so much. Thank you very much, all our people at Stanford, and thank you, everyone, for coming down here. Much, much love to all of our partners, all of our sponsors, particularly to the New World Symphony for making this possible, for sharing this beautiful space in its own right. And also, I want to give a big shout out to the Tres Mares group, who actually provided the cash prize for our hackathon. You guys have been awesome. We hope that you will be joining us to rock the party later tonight. It's music, it's tech, it's Miami. It's just the beginning. Peace.